lack of knowledge doesn't always mean the total absence of the required knowledge. More often than not, lack of knowledge means the insufficiency of the required knowledge. That means the knowledge required is present but not in sufficient quantity to help one's health. You can have lack of knowledge in your marriage, in your relationship, in your business, in your profession, in your career, in anything at all, even in health. In any part of life, you can have lack of knowledge, just as one can have lack of money, which does not mean that the person doesn't have any money at all, but that the money the person has is not sufficient to help the person pay his bills or her bills. So in Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6, where the Bible says, God speaking, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. He's not just saying that my people are destroyed because they know nothing at all. If you have lack of knowledge, in other words, if you have insufficiency of the required knowledge, meaning that the knowledge you have is the required one, but it is not in sufficient amount, you will still face destruction. I realize that students that fail in any exam don't fail because they know nothing, but because what they know is either incorrect or insufficient to help them scale through in that exam. So when a student fails, if you ask, you find this student that failed has some scores. So if the student knew nothing at all, how come he had those scores? Okay? So the scores the student had tells us the student has some amount of the required knowledge, but not in sufficient quantity. Okay? It's just like saying, oh, I lack vitamin C. It does not mean that my body doesn't have vitamin C at all, but the quantity available is insufficient to power my cells. Are you getting this now? Okay? So if you check the Bible, you find that there is consistency of abundance anytime you want to talk about success. For instance, in the book of John chapter 10, Jesus speaking about coming to give life, he said, I came that they might have it, that have life and have it in abundance. When Peter was speaking somewhere, he talks about the fact that if these things be in you, I think that should be 1 Peter chapter 5 and somewhere around that. He said, if these things be in you and abound, in other words, and be in sufficient measure, okay? He said they will make you that you are neither unfruitful or barren, you see? In other words, they will make you to succeed. Are you following this? Somewhere in the book of Romans, Paul will say that they that have received abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness. You note, he didn't say people who have received grace and the gift of righteousness, but the abundance. So the emphasis is on the abundance. He said, those that have received the abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness, they shall reign in this life. So if you just have grace and gift of righteousness, you are still unqualified to reign in this life. So you are still prone to destruction, to failure. Okay? So how to succeed in life is not just to have the required knowledge, but to have it in required quantity, in required amount. Every failure can be traced to the fact that people don't have either the knowledge required or they have the knowledge required but not in sufficient quantity. I'm Onyi Nnebedum. Always, I want to share thoughts to awaken your consciousness so you can take control of your life and circumstances. This thing I would always say that if you are not aware, you are not aware. See you in the next